Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
For 6 years, I lived quietly, almost invisibly, paying a $540,000 mortgage that wasn't mine, saving a house that wasn't promised to me, pouring nearly every spare dollar into a family that barely remembered I existed. I told myself it was worth it. That one day, Mom and Dad would look at me and finally see me. Not Iris's older sister. Not the backup daughter. Just Peyton. But the call came on a Tuesday morning, slicing straight through that hope. "Peyton," my father said, voice brisk, almost cheerful. "I know you paid off the mortgage, but your mother and I decided to gift the house to Iris as her wedding present." I froze in the middle of my kitchen. "What? Why would you?" "And before you ask," he continued, as if I were interrupting his grocery list, "you're not invited to the wedding. Iris feels your boring, gloomy appearance presence would make the guests uncomfortable." For a moment, the world went muffled, like I'd been shoved underwater. "I paid for that house," I whispered, "every month, every late bill, every—" "Well, yes," he cut in, "but Iris is starting her life. She deserves something nice." There it was, the familiar script. Iris first, Iris deserving, Iris shining, me deleted. "Dad," I tried again, voice cracking despite my best effort, "I didn't do this so you could pretend I had nothing to do with." "Peyton, don't exaggerate," he sighed. "Don't make problems, it's done." The call ended, no thank you, no apology, no hesitation. Just done. I stood alone in my tiny apartment, staring at the silent phone, feeling the weight of 6 years collapse all at once. 6 years of sacrifice erased in a single conversation. A house I saved. A family I protected. A wedding I wasn't welcome at. And somewhere beneath the shock, something hot began to stir. Not sadness. Not guilt. Something sharper. Because for the first time, a thought pushed through the silence. If they think I'm invisible, they're about to find out how wrong they are. I grew up learning one truth early. Some children are loved loudly, and some are loved in silence. I was the second kind. When I was 8, Iris cried because she wanted the blue velvet dress in the store window. Mom bought it for her the next day. When I quietly mentioned that my sneakers had holes in them, Dad said, "They still look fine, Peyton. Don't exaggerate." That was the rhythm of my childhood. Iris asks, Iris gets. I ask, I'm forgotten. Even now, at 29, those memories pressed against me as I stared at my father's final text. "It's done. Don't make problems." Problems. That's what my sacrifices were to them. Later that evening, my best friend Lena came by with takeout, took one look at my face, and set the bags down slowly. "What happened?" she asked softly. I handed her the phone. She read the message, then looked up with a disbelief so sharp it almost hurt. "They gave Iris the house you paid for? And uninvited you from the wedding?" Her voice broke. "Peyton, how can they do this?" "Because I let them," I whispered. "Because I've always let them." "Hey," Lena said firmly, moving closer. "You're not invisible. Not to everyone. Not to me." But her kindness cracked something open inside me. Not comfort, but grief. Heavy, old grief that I'd packed away in quiet corners of myself. I covered my face with my hands. Why wasn't I ever enough for them? Lena didn't answer. She couldn't. The truth hung between us. They never wanted to see me. But that night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, a question surfaced, small but defiant. What if being invisible wasn't my destiny, but their choice? Feeling betrayed and exhausted from years of being invisible, I met with my lawyer the next morning, my hands trembling as I spread the mortgage statements across the desk. Uncle James sat beside me, silent but resolute, his presence steadying the storm of emotions inside me. That's when the truth hit. Every payment I had made over 6 long years legally tied the house to my name through a trust fund. No transfer, no gift, no announcement could happen without my explicit consent. My parents had assumed I would remain quiet, unnoticed, invisible as always. But the house was more than a sentimental possession. It was a monument to my sacrifices, protected by law, and my determination. For the first time, I realized I could no longer be erased. I wasn't invited, but that had never stopped me before. The morning of Iris' wedding, I stood in front of my mirror, fastening the small black hat with the sheer veil I'd bought the night before. It wasn't for fashion. It was for anonymity. I would be a shadow slipping through the crowd, a ghost at a celebration I'd been erased from. Lena watched me nervously. "Peyton, are you sure you want to do this?" "No," I admitted. "But I need to hear it with my own ears. I need to know how easily they pretend I never existed." At the venue, a grand garden wrapped in white roses, I blended in with distant relatives who barely remembered me. No one questioned me, no one looked twice. Of course they didn't. The ceremony began. Soft music, laughter, Iris glowing in lace and arrogance. And then my father stepped up to the microphone, smiling, proud. "As many of you know," he announced, "we are gifting our family home to the newlyweds. It has been in our care for decades, through struggles and sacrifices. But we kept it. We held it together." My breath caught. We? They? Not a word about the 6 years of payments. Not a mention that without me they wouldn't have a house to gift. Lena squeezed my hand. "Peyton, don't cry here." But the tears came anyway, hot, furious, blurring the scene of Iris beaming while guests gasped in admiration. Then suddenly a voice cut through the applause. "James. My uncle." "That's not true," he shouted, stepping forward. "Tell them who really paid the mortgage." My father's smile faltered. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I froze under my veil as dozens of eyes shifted toward the stage, and toward the lie unraveling in real time. For the first time in my life, they were about to see me. For a moment, no one breathed. My Uncle James's voice still echoed across the garden, slicing clean through the illusion my parents had crafted. Iris's smile collapsed. My father's eyes darted across the crowd, then landed, finally, on me. Even behind my veil, I felt the shock hit him like a slap. I stepped forward, slowly, deliberately. Every click of my heels against the stone path felt like reclaiming a year of my life. A whisper rose through the guests. "Is that Peyton? She wasn't invited. She paid the mortgage?" My father hissed, "What are you doing here?" I met his stare, correcting the story. Iris lurched toward me, her bouquet trembling. "You're ruining my wedding." "No," I said softly. "I'm ending the part where you all pretend I don't exist." My voice shook, not with weakness, but with 6 years of swallowed truth. "Ownership of the house is tied to me," I continued, projecting my words so everyone heard. "Every payment made came from my bank account. Every signature required on the trust has my name on it. You cannot give away a house that legally depends on my consent." Gasps exploded. Even the officiant looked lost. My mother whispered harshly, "Peyton, lower your voice." "No," I said. "You've lowered my place in this family enough." I could feel tears stinging, but I didn't let them fall, not yet. My father's face reddened. "You wouldn't dare stop us." That was the moment I understood something bone deep. They expected me to stay small. They expected me to stay silent. But I lifted my chin. "I will not let you rewrite my sacrifice, or my life. The house stays where it belongs, with the one who paid for it." A tremor rippled through the wedding guests. And for the first time in my family's history, I held the power they thought I'd never claim. The garden had gone silent, so silent I could hear the fountain behind us trickling like distant applause. My father opened his mouth again, but this time I didn't let him speak. "Dad," I said steadily, "the house is staying in my name. You can spin any version you want, but the law doesn't lie, and neither do I." Iris's groom shifted uncomfortably. Even he looked embarrassed now. Iris glared at me, her voice shaking with rage. "Couldn't you wait at least one day?" "I already gave you 6 years," I replied, "and you and your parents pretended that it didn't mean anything to you." A murmur swept the crowd. Agreement, disbelief, even sympathy. For the first time, their eyes didn't skim past me. They stayed. My mother whispered, "Peyton, please, don't do this." But it was already done. "I'm choosing myself," I said, finally. I left calmly with a sense of dignity, not angrily, but with the strange, light feeling of someone stepping out of a cage she hadn't realized she'd locked herself in. Behind me, Iris sobbed. My father argued with James. Guests whispered the truth now that it was out. But none of that mattered, because 6 years ago, I saved their house. Today I saved myself. And as the doors closed behind me, one final thought hit like a triumph. Being invisible was their choice, but now that will never happen.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.